Today's show is sponsored by Self Publishing for Fun and Profit with Brenda Warren, the solutionist. That's me, y'all. I'm sponsoring my own show today. Who knew? If you're ready to write your story or just have someone assist you writing your story, DM me and let me see if I can help you. I am so excited today because today on Face It Friday, I have with me my guest today, Miss Rachel Rose. She's a positive mindset coach. She guides clients as they transition total life changes in self, health, wealth, and life. Her infectious positivity led her to become a motivational TEDx speaker, business consultant, and author. Rachel is no stranger to life transformation. After overcoming a near fatal snowboarding accident, it only elevated her passion and mission to impact, empower, and inspire hope in others, taking their lives and businesses to the next level through her 5 steps to radical resiliency. She lives by the example, showing others how to blow their own minds. Welcome to Talk to Me. I'm your host, Brenda Warren, the solutionist. And as you can see, I'm a little bit tongue-tied today, but we're going to get this party started by bringing Rachel up to the stream. Hey, Rachel, how you doing?
Brenda, thank you for having me.
I think it's the Benadryl. For those of you that's listening on the live or maybe in Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you're listening, just before the show, I decided I needed to get me something to eat and had an allergic reaction. So I had to take a little bit of Benadryl to get my face to stop looking all red and puffy. But that's part of being resilient. And we're talking about resiliency today. That's the 5 steps to radical resilience. You need to have a vision, a goal, a plan, action to reach the success in reaching your ultimate radical resilient self. And today, Rachel is going to take us through her 5 steps of radical resilience. But before we do that, Rachel, tell us what got you into creating the 5 steps to radical resilience.
Okay, well, it was my own plan of existence and getting back to what I needed to. And I had a snowboard accident and suffered a subdural hematoma, which is a traumatic brain injury, but I didn't know it. And basically, I went to the hospital with my youngest of 3. And after the CAT scan, they said, find someone to pick up your son, say goodbye, and send us your will. And, you have a fatal accident and we have an ambulance to take you to the trauma center. So I was just decided, right then and there, this is not the hill I'm going to die on.
Mm-hmm.
And so fast forward, my neurologist, after many, many months that worked with me, said because the majority of the people, 74%, do not recover. And when asked what was the difference between myself and the majority, he said 100% mindset.
So, Rachel, let me get this straight. You had a snowboarding accident. You were able to take your own self to the doctor? And you had your son?
I didn't even know that, I'm not like a snowboard person. And I had a helmet on and it was 5 days of slamming my head against the ice. And I just thought I was protected and it was a false sense of security. And after being home for almost a week, I started not knowing what was happening, how I got downtown. And that's when my mom persuaded me to go get a CAT scan, which she saved my life because I just thought I'll go to sleep and wake up and be better in the morning. I had no idea.
Wow. So you had that injury for about a week before you even sought medical attention, which may account for some of the people that we know that fall asleep and we don't know what happened because they maybe were skiing or had accidents of some kind hit their head. So now you've fast forward a little bit. You had this accident, this life-changing accident that you carried around for a while, and then you found yourself, I saw on your website, needing to ask for help, something that was not part of your natural tendencies. What was that like for you when you realized you couldn't do it all?
Yeah, I mean, there's a quote that says, if you don't get the lesson comes back louder. Mm-hmm. And I prided myself on being self-reliant and I don't need anybody my whole life since I was a little girl, probably out of, just a self to take protection for myself and just doing it all. And I lived that way my whole life. And when I could not do what was prescribed by the neurologist at the hospital, they sent me home and said, you'll be lucky to get back 60% of everything you lost. And I had a stroke, a TIA, a few
Mhm.
months later, and on the side of the road, I called this doctor that someone had given me, and he said, I can help you, but you need to be here every single day and make the commitment for the next 6 days a week for the next 18 months. And it was an hour away. I wasn't able to drive. And I ended up, the only person that could help me get there was my 83-year-old father.
Wow.
And he gave me my life back. And Brenda, every day walking to his car in the driveway to drive me an hour, 3 hours of rehab, and an hour home. I was sick to my stomach getting in the car because I felt so embarrassed and uncomfortable and to put this upon him. And the third day, he turned to me and he said, Rachel, you have given me the biggest gift I could have ever received in my life at this time by allowing me to help you. I have purpose. I have a reason to get out of bed every day. And
Oh,
he said, you saved my life. And that was eye-opening. And it was then that I learned that when we bear our own struggles, we give others an opportunity to step up and we empower them. And it changed everything.
I love that when you said we bear our own struggles. We're going to talk about resiliency here. You know, there's dimensions of resilience. There's physical, there's emotional, and mental. And there are several steps underneath them. The physical says physical flexibility, endurance, strength, and vitality. Emotional range and flexibility, position, feeling, self regulation, relationships, and ease instead of resistance. And then there's mental. That's the mental flexibility, attention span, optimistic worldview, incorporating multiple points of view. And I believe today, since you are a mindset coach, your 5 steps actually focus on the mindset portion.
Yeah, they include everything, but the mindset, when recently my doctor was interviewed and I've always had a positive perspective on life.
Mhm.
But I was even surprised when they said, how is it that Rachel was able to recover? And he said, 100% mindset. And that was eye opening for me because I didn't realize that it even affects your health. And
Mhm.
we all need to know the power that we have and that mindset. If you want a positive outcome, you need a positive perspective. So,
So when you started to develop that, what was the first step in your 5 steps that you took?
well, it didn't come easy,
Mhm.
but I believe that, the 5 steps came about in retrospect, in hindsight.
Mhm.
But the first step is acknowledge. And, you know, you're the, fir- you know, when it happens, it's like, boom, whatever it is, everyone's sense of trauma. For some people, it could be a conversation. For some, it's an accident or a diagnosis, but we cannot heal without the acknowledgement. We
Mhm.
have so you almost need to have the pity party, be the victim. Initially, I think we want to blame, justify. Like if my snowboard boyfriend would have made me take a lesson, I wouldn't have had this right now.
Right.
But but if we don't heal, if we don't take that first step, we end up living a lie because the trauma does not go, we can't heal without the acknowledgement of it. And in order to repair, we have to acknowledge it and we have to experience the full impact and the suffering. And we just do. It's the only way.
And number 2?
Number two is decide, like, again,
Mhm.
that's not the hill I'm going to die on. When my decision was, I'm going to get better and I'm going to do a TED Talk. And I put it on my vision board, and people laughed at me and said, I'm a best-selling this and I'm a keynote this, and you're never going to get it. And I just kept saying, I'm doing a TED Talk. I'm doing a TED
Mhm.
Talk. And about 8 weeks before the end of that fourth year of rehabilitation, I was grateful to find a coach in the 11th hour, and they published my TED Talk.
So let me get this straight. You made a decision that while you were in your rehab, and your rehab took 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, initially, 18 months got
Mhm.
me better,
Mhm.
but to where I am today, it's been almost 5 years, but it's been consistent. I mean, I couldn't go online. The only thing I could do was cut out pictures,
Mhm.
couldn't listen to music, couldn't be on the phone, couldn't be on anything screen. I mean, I was like starting from square one, and I kept wanting to get back to who I was before. And, you know, that's where this came about, is that these things happen not to us, but for us. And you can't go back because you become a different person.
And so I know what the third step is, and I love this one there because we talked about it a little bit earlier. But when you got to the third step, which is ask for help, how has that changed now that you're practicing radical resistance? Are you clearer about asking for help quicker, or do you still struggle with that?
I I still struggle a little bit for sure, but I definitely, when I saw the power of what it gave to the other person, because I think people that are givers, and you're a giver, Brenda, it's like it's so easy for us to give, and the second
Mhm.
somebody says, wait, I want to do this for you, it's like all of a sudden we're like, oh no, it's okay, we don't need anything. But and I never want to put it upon someone or for it to be an obligation, but I'll never forget. I mean, when my dad at 83 years old said he was going through this awful time, and that's always in the back of my mind. And
Mhm.
when you ask for help, they can always say no, but it can be an amazing gift, and it also it can change your relationships. It makes them so much more authentic and honest, that, we're not perfect. We all human. We all could use help at some point.
We're going to take a break right here and do a quick public announcement. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. If you find yourself or have a family member or a friend in need of support, remember help is available. If you find yourself having suicidal thoughts, please dial 988. And if you're a veteran, press 1. Mental health awareness is an opportunity to get the word out that you are never alone and help is always available. Be blessed. Rachel, this radical resilience is so important to people's mental health. And asking for help is such an important part of that, which actually leads into your fourth step, which is actually one of my favorite steps in your program. And you want to share with us what that step is?
Yeah, it's take action, and it's what you do, Brenda. It's surrounding, we will only go as far as the limiting beliefs of the people we surround ourselves with. And I think that is one of my new favorites. Lori Harder shared it. And
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing with creating community and culture, and I made the decision. I asked for help. Now it's finding, the people around you and putting yourself around people that are like-minded, that are, on a mission also. And what I've also learned through this, Brenda, is speaking about mental health awareness, is that mental health, everyone used to think like, oh, they have mental health. Oh, like it was
Mm-hmm.
like a thing, and it doesn't discriminate. And at some point in our life, we are all going to go through something. And that's what the radical resiliency is meant to do, is to give you the tools, because we're all going to have something. If we
Mhm.
haven't already, and even if we have, more things are going to come up, to be able to approach it differently the next time, and have, some tools to get us through it. I
What
love
are
what
some? What did you say?
I love what you share, because we talk about positive perspective, and you
Mhm.
share this is your zone of genius, right? Because it makes you like show up as a different person and work harder on, things that make you maybe a better listener, or more compassionate, or, asking for help, and empowering others.
Well, thank you for saying that. What are some of the action steps that you took once you found yourself getting on the other side of healing?
Got myself in a group right away, got myself in a mastermind, found myself, people, mentors. I was reaching out to other people that were doing now what I wanted to do, because I couldn't go back in my past life
Mhm.
and run a finance company, but now I wanted to show others what was possible. So it was definitely continue following, asking for help, and finding people that I wanted to be like.
I know you mentioned that when you went in for treatment the first time when your injury was identified, that you had your son with you. Uh, how did your injury affect your relationship with your children?
Well, it actually, another blessing that came out of the accident. I was the breadwinner when I was bringing up my kids, so I was not home, and that was the first time I was a stay-at-home mom.
Mhm.
And they were teenagers at that point. My youngest was 9, but my other 2 were teenagers, and we have the most incredible, amazing relationship because of the time we spent together,
Mhm.
and it was really, really hard for them. It was really hard for them, because
Imagine.
that having a traumatic brain injury is an invisible injury. So on
Mhm.
the outside, you still look like you, but
Right.
but I couldn't process what people were saying. I didn't understand my word retrieval. Even I couldn't communicate in the way that I typically do. But to answer your question, it changed our life forever. You can imagine at 9 years old having witnessed what the doctor said to me in front of him.
Mm.
That was a trauma for sure. And he's the one of 3 children that moved across the country with me most recently. And that he will never be able to forget that. So I think we make the most of the time. We're very, very close, and we value every day and celebrate every moment.
So so it brought you closer to your kids, but and you mentioned that you had trouble with word retrieval, having had a traumatic brain injury, and even now you can hear sometimes our words stutter or whatever. Um, how did that affect your interactions with colleagues or friends and family?
It's with colleagues and some friends and family. In the beginning, I lost a lot of people, because, initially it's one thing, but 6 months later, like, everyone is moving on with their life. And it's also very easy to be misunderstood. So my team and the colleagues that I was working with, a lot of them didn't understand that I
Mhm.
couldn't be social, and I couldn't
Mhm.
talk on the phone, and, I couldn't scroll, but whatever the last post was, I could like it, or, make a comment. And I tried to be a part and let people know in whatever capacity I could
Mhm.
that I was still there and interested and excited about what they were doing and in their lives. but no matter how much I would think about someone I couldn't reach out. And so a lot of people stepped away, but it also brought some amazing people into my life that gave me the fortitude to keep going, that didn't give up on me, and that believed that I still could help them or I had something to offer. And so, and they're still in my life like family today because of that. That was a big part of the healing.
And so that would lead us right into your fifth step in the 5 steps to radical resilience, which is reflection. And I think that sometimes when we've had our talks recently, I find myself reflecting over the things that I thought I lost.
Mm-hmm.
But now I choose to focus on how much I gained since
100.
my injury. And I was
Mhm.
wondering what has been your experience with the reflection?
I mean, it's been everything. I have my snowboard in my office. I look at it all day, every day, and the biggest blessings and lessons have come out of the injury. And somebody asked me the other day, "Would do you wish it didn't happen?" And it sounds crazy, but
Mhm.
I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, it was one of the hardest things, but the biggest blessings, and I'm definitely in the best place I've ever been.
That's really good. I think that when you think about where you were and where you come from, even being here today on this podcast, your doctors pretty much counted you out. And if it wasn't for your own radical resiliency, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. How
Mhm.
have your holistic approach to healing yourself been beneficial for your journey to radical resiliency?
Oh, I mean, never would have made, I never would be where and had the recovery that I've had today. And as a matter of fact, Brenda, when I decided to move across the country less than a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was leaving, everybody told me not to go. They were worried about my mental health, my brain, being with my son alone without family around,
Mm-hmm.
for so many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I called my holistic neurologist and I said, "You are the only person that can tell me not to go that I'm going to listen to." And he told me, he said, "Rachel, by doing new things, and this is for everybody, when
Mm-hmm.
you change, your routine and you do new things, you create new neurotransmitters in your brain." And he said, "You're going to go, and you, as good as you think you are today relative to where you were," he said, "you're going to go to the next level." And it's not even been a year. And I continue to, take really good care of myself. I know when I have to step out and take a
Mm-hmm.
break. Um, but I can't believe what I'm doing. I mean, I'm doing things I didn't do before the accident.
That's the blessing right there when you get to a place of peace with your new normal. I understand that you have an event coming up on June 16th. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm super excited for the Radical Resiliency Live. And it's just kind of a quick overview, but definitely you'll walk away better than you came. And I think, just perspective is a huge part of it. And it will definitely give you a different perspective.
I put your website on there, Rachel Rose Live. That's Rachel, Rachel, Rose, Rose dot live, Live. For those of you that may be listening on the replay and not looking at the visual, Rachel Rose dot live. So you can get information about Rachel's book that's available for pre-order, her upcoming events, her ability to get coaching. She does take corporate clients. She's a consultant. And I'm just so thankful for you coming here today because, Rachel, I do understand what it took for you to be here today. Um, and I understand how radically resilient you truly are. And I'd like to ask you, how is what you're doing now helping you live your best life now?
Knowing and making a difference and showing others what's possible.
That is awesome. Well, for those of you who watch this, this is where we do the tap in. And, you know, I'm all about mindset. So here's the key. If you're ready to tap in to Rachel's mindset coaching, positive mindset coaching, her other events, purchase her book, or just get radically resilient yourself, it's time to tap in. And how do you do that? Number one, you use the T to transform your mindset. Remember, you have the ability to overcome any setback or failure that you may face. It's not what happens to us, it's what happens for us. Then the A, get announced to the world, just like Rachel wants you to acknowledge. I want you to acknowledge that it's time to get some help so that you can become radically resilient. And then you're going to get some accountability at that level as well, like by hiring a coach like Rachel or myself or one of the other coaches that we talk about here often on the show to ensure that you get the support needed to move into radical resiliency. Then I want you to prepare. Prepare yourself for making that shift to radical resiliency. See, sitting home feeling sorry for yourself because you have a traumatic brain injury, because you have chronic pain, depression, whatever it is, you're overweight, underweight, or just not in the relationship of your dreams will not change it. But if you begin to take action, do the things that you heard Rachel say today, decide, acknowledge, take action, and reflect, you too can become radically resilient. Then I want you to imagine, what would your life be like if you actually incorporated the 5 steps to resiliency into your own life so that you could live your best life now, what is now no opportunity wasted. And then finally, the end. That's where you nurture all those thoughts that you acquired during this process, and Rachel's process is called reflection. Reflect on what it would be like to have all of those things in place and living your best radically resilient life. That's how you tap into resilience. And make sure you check out Rachel at rachelrose.live. Rachel, you have any final thoughts for the audience?
My favorite quote, I do want to say that on the website, grab your blueprint to positivity and possibility. And my favorite quote that you shared is, if you're still searching for that one person to change your life, take a look in the mirror.
All right. I like that. Thank you for being here on Talk to Me, Rachel, on Face It Friday, where we face something that we don't often want to deal with. And I didn't want to deal with my traumatic brain injury. So I was very happy to have a fellow warrior in the invisible wound world to come talk with me today on Talk to Me. Remember, those of you listening, the choices you make today will be the reality you live tomorrow. So choose wisely and be see, my word just slipped right there. Be blessed. I no longer have no shame in it now, Rachel. That's one of the things that used to cause me so much stress and confusion when I would mix up my words or different things. Because a lot of people, some people are just getting to know me. They don't know I have a traumatic brain injury because it is definitely an invisible wound. But there are things that I deal with on a regular basis that sometimes give me pause. But now I embrace it as my superpower because I'm being resilient and I'm not giving up. For those of you out there that may not say the right words or do the right thing, or that you don't look the way you think, or you're overweight, underweight, whatever it is, be resilient and don't give up on yourself. Be blessed, everyone.
I love it. Thank you.